so much for it raining. I was told by everyone it's going to be sandstormy and rainy out today, so I kind of ditched all my good flying spots and came here instead. So I've come to this spot again, which you may recognize from these shapes. And I've come here for one reason and one reason only. That is because these buildings have a unique feature to them, which I did not explore before. And that unique feature is up here. So they have a little gap that goes all the way up and all the way down. But holy God. So yeah, I came here to explore and just these tunnels and work with them and see what can be done with them. Can I dive them? Well, I want to dive them. Can I? Should I? So that one's kind of sketchy because there doesn't seem to be any holes out the sides. Seems to be a straight drop, and right at the bottom, half the ground is like oblivion zone where, you know, it's near where the elevators are going to go in the building, and there's like a gap where, I don't know, they're going to build a facade or something or other, I don't know what, but there's basically a gap that just goes down into like this pit of water that is, okay, these buildings have underground parking, see? So that shaft, that elevator shaft, is obviously connecting about 2 levels of underground parking with the rest of the building. Trick is they haven't really closed off that gap to the underground parking. There's like this, I don't know, it's like a meter long. So if I think about how big the gap is on the roof, I'm thinking that at least part of it is, shall we say, intersects with that whole pit of oblivion thing. So that is going to make it tricky to actually dive those, because you're basically going to have to come straight down and then out the front of the building, and you're going to have to catch it perfect or bad things are going to happen to you. So right now we're in the next door building. We're going to check out his shaft. Yeah, I'm sure that's amusing. Okay, so this one, so the shaft in this building, same deal, goes all the way up, and then you dive down here, but you have pit of oblivion, no water down there, which is interesting. But even if you can get down to that floor, I don't know if you can get down to the pit part. Oh yeah, so this is where the actual elevators would go, I think, actually. And these must be like the doors to the elevator that would open out onto a hallway over there. So yeah, this is like diving an elevator shaft, basically. It's kind of cool. Other side, we've got that. Okay, that's not too bad. This is walled off, but you have some kind of relief around the sides, so yeah. That's basically why I came here today, though, is just to play around with this stuff. It's risky, obviously, because you don't want to fall into like one of those oblivion pits. That would be bad, particularly one of the water oblivion pits. So we're gonna do it anyways, but I'm gonna do it slowly and methodically. And I came here specifically not to just go and dive it straight up, because I think that would be suicidal, because you would basically just come in here somewhere and you're gonna go, "Roar!" Then you have to catch it. Yeah, that's a pretty nice exit, but you'd have to time it just right. And yeah, something like that to pull it off, for me, my limited flying skills takes practice. So I am gonna do it the Sissy way. I'm gonna just do pack after pack after pack after pack, and I'm gonna start off real gingerly and work up from there. Now, I'm considering a bunch of stuff here, particularly video. So even though I might be diving that shaft and diving that shaft, the reason I'm not going straight on is because, first of all, you don't want to sit too close to your quad if it's got crossfire. The second thing is, if I'm hauling tail out the front of these buildings, I don't want to be sitting right in front of the building. So here I have some penetration of my video into like little holes, and ditto over here. Of course, I'm going to investigate all that too. So have about half an hour until the sun goes down, and then another hour before my coffee supplier closes. And it's very important that I get coffee today as well. So without further ado, let's get on with this experiment here. That went spectacularly bad. The minute I get up a floor in that shaft, there is no video. So you literally have, if it was even staticky and I could kind of see, I could kind of fly through that, but wow, it just goes bam, gone. And so you have no idea where you're coming down. And the problem with that is that like half the friggin' ground is oblivion stuff. So if you can't see, you're coming down, and yeah, half of what you're coming down over is basically an endless pit. And you can't see a damn thing until the last moment when the video kicks back in. Was not expecting that. I'm gonna try upping the milliwattage on this Crossfire, which I've never done in my life. And what is up with this camera? I don't know. It's vibrating on me. Could be the props too. Try it one more time, let's see. Okay. Normally I don't do stupid stuff like that. So that was very foreign territory. I can see why people like doing crap like that. I get it. But whoa, I am sketched the hell out. Sketchy, sketchy, sketchy. Like, yeah. That scared the crap out of me. That is still scaring the crap out of me. That was scary. I might do it again. But I might not. Because, wow. I don't usually do crazy stuff like that, and that's why I'm just afraid of losing my quad. And I don't know if that's even worth it, man. Doing crazy shit like that. It's interesting though, I will say that. God. Mind explosion, mind exploding, mind exploding over all the things. Yeah. 800 milliwatts did the trick, so at least I can see all the way down the tunnel. It's actually easier to do it from the top, because you can kind of see where you're going on the way down, so you can point the quad. But that's freaky shit. That makes the old fingers shake, man. Okie doke. So, alright, so disclaimer time, okay? I actually don't recommend flying like this unless you are absolutely 100% totally fine with the idea of completely losing your quad. Because that's kind of what you're playing with in a situation like this. When you're doing a stunt like that, you know, it's one thing if it was like a bunch of pipes or something in the middle of a field or trees or something. But when you're doing stuff in a bando where there's like holes and all that kind of stuff nearby and the gaps are tight and all that stuff, you got to keep in mind that you are playing with some pretty dangerous forces. You are basically teasing physics and saying screw you. Now that's half the fun, obviously, is playing with physics, but physics can come back and bite you, and physics always wins in the end as well. So there's a good chance that if anything goes wrong or you miscalculate anything at all, you're gonna either smash your quad to bits or just completely lose it. And based on that, I'm kind of a dumbass because I don't want to lose my quads. I really don't want to lose my quads, and I don't fly in a way where I would be losing my quads. I'm usually super careful and conservative and all that kind of stuff, and I work up bit by bit to do the stuff that I do, and in the back of my head I'm always thinking what can go wrong, and I'm trying to limit the damage that can be done to my own gear as well as everything else. I am definitely not cool with the idea of losing my quad, so in theory I should not really be doing stuff like that. It was a huge risk for me to do. I got away with it only because of experience, and I would say luck. Experience because I have done dives before, so I'm familiar with that whole pulling out thing and everything. And I have the basic muscle memory to kind of survive those places. But it's also a bit of luck, because if I had, for example, bounced off the side of the, you know, shaft or whatever, if I bounce off that, you know, if the quad does its sort of little I-turn freak out and you end up pointed in the wrong way, there's like no time to recover the thing. And you're gonna basically end up wherever, who knows, wherever. And it's pretty easy for that to happen. Tiniest miscalculation. Also, when you're doing that stuff, you're more nervous than usual, so your fingers aren't responding like they normally would. One way I get around that, it's just from experience, but I know that sometimes just don't touch the damn sticks. You know, if the quad's on the right trajectory from the get-go, sometimes it's best just to don't touch the sticks, let it do its thing along its path, and it gives you those extra crucial milliseconds to figure out what to do, instead of fighting it the whole way down. But, you know, your fight or flight instinct's really strong, so you're going to be tempted to, like, once you start diving, you're going to be tempted to correct it and point it and all that kind of stuff. Again, I've done it before quite a bit. Not in this spot, but I've done it in other spots. So, you know, huge risk. I just had just enough muscle memory to kind of power through it, I guess. Or restrain my inner freaking outness to the point where I managed to do it, basically. And I did it several times today, actually. But it doesn't get any easier. Like, yeah. It kind of gets a bit easier, but the risks are still there every time you do it. It's not an easy move to repeat, because if you check it up, like, if you're diving from the inside of the thing, right? If you're inside, you're powering up, and you're just going to look down and drop. Cool, fine, but you got to make sure that you are carrying no momentum forward or backward or anything. You got to do a neutral drop straight down. If you're going to do some twirls and stuff on the way down, you better have your axis well sorted out, and you better have your timing well sorted out. If you approach that gap from the top of the building, say you want to, like, power loop it, you want to come in over the front and then just dive straight down through that gap, you would have had to have practiced that before, so you know exactly what's in that gap, how big it is, and what's at the bottom of it. Or